Hello, everyone. This is Laura Lee Calais. I'm in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and I've been a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator since 2004. I have a lunch with Laura. It's usually on Thursday at noon. Last week I had a conflict, so I moved it to Friday and took a walk through the catalog with you. And today I'm going to be showing you something out of the brand new catalog, and I'm really excited about it. Let me show you um, here is the card we're going to be making, and it's with the Hues of Happiness bow. Now, this comes in a suite. Now, I'm going to show this to you. I'll let you check this out for 1 second. I left something on the printer, and I'll be right back. Okay. The suite is called Hues of Happiness. Here are some samples, and over here it shows you what all comes with if you get the whole suite. If you want the designer series paper and the little dots that are in different colors, plus your stamp set and your dies, you can order it under one number, and the whole thing is $69.50. If you just want the stamp set and the dies, it's called Happiness Abounds, 10% off, and it's $49.50. So let me show you. It's on pages 108 and 109 of the brand new Stampin' Up! Catalog. Happiness Abounds is a wonderful suite. It comes with these great flowers. I'm guessing this is a wild rose. The other two are roses, and I'm not sure what that is. Maybe it's a different kind of flower. Leaves, and then you've got two little bundles. And it's kind of an all-around sentiment stamp set. It includes thanks, congratulations, best wishes, birthday. So you could use this stamp set for just about anything. The dies that come with it are called Blooming Happiness. We're going to be using some of these. This one just caught my eye right off the bat. I wanted to see what that looked like and find out what these little pieces here do. So let me show you that first. When you run let me move my catalog out of the way. When you run your cardstock through with this die, this is what it looks like. So then I also wanted to show you that there are two little dies here that are like from notebooks, I assume, or I don't know. This one maybe was to look like film. You could put it on both sides and make it look like the old-timey film. But the way you use these, on one side it's perfectly flat. On the other side there's a lip that you would put against your paper, and then it would cut the long little dots. Or if you use the ones that have the just the little polka dots, they would look like this. So, and it does make it look like it's just been torn out of a out of a notebook. And you could do the same thing with that if you wanted, but I just like the look of that. So I wanted to show those to you before we get started. And let me put this right here for a minute. And okay, as I said, we're going to be using this stamp set with the dies. And I also pulled a little straight die that could be used for your caption or your sentiment, and it's from the Sending dies. So we're going to be using that too. Okay, the colors that I used, and remember that this gorgeous DSP that comes with either the suite or you can buy it individually. It's called Hues of Happiness. It's on page 132 and it's $12. It is probably one of the prettiest designer series papers that I've seen. And remember, when you are looking at your designer series paper, always check out the colors. That's where I get, if I'm going to use a designer series paper in my card, I'm going to look at my little description down here and find the colors that they use in this paper. So there, a lot are used. I won't go into all that right now, but what we are using is Gorgeous Scrape, and that's your card base. Then we're using a piece of Hues of Happiness that is 3x4. If you use grid paper, right down at the bottom, you don't see it in my thing right there, but there's a ruler. And I'm using another piece of basic white that's about the same size. One's going to go at the top and it's going to be embossed, and I'm going to use that with that die that I don't even know what to call it, vines, I guess. And then I wanted to show you the ribbon, and I'm going to show you how to do this. This is our white crinkle ribbon. It's $7.50 for a bolt of ribbon, and I believe that there are 10 yards on here. I hope I'm not wrong about that. It's on page 145. You can use this white. We didn't have anything right now that matched what I wanted to do here, so I colored the ribbon with our blends. So I'll show that to you in a second. Then we're also going to need a piece of scrap paper for the little rose and the leaves. And then these are the glossy dots, and they come in Gorgeous Scrape, Melon Mambo, Daffodil Delight, and Pool Party. So we're going to be using some of those. They are $8, and I believe you get 180 or so. There are a lot on here. Now, I'm going to put this back in here because I've got a trick to show you one, and I don't want to forget what I'm doing. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is take our little mini embossing machine, and I just dropped the top plate. Okay, now this is not quite 4 inches, so you have to go a little bit less than that, and I cut my paper 3x4. So I'm going to put that on here, and I'm going to go ahead and put a piece of tape just because I want it right up at the top, and I don't want to cover any of it up when I go to run it, match it with the designer series paper. So I'm just going to use a couple of little pieces, and I'm using plates 1 and 2 and another 2, and I'm going to run that through. That is normal. Don't get upset when you hear your machine making that noise. Let me, in fact, I think I need to run it back through. It didn't quite get all of it, so I imagine I did not have it quite in there like it should have been. Okay, now let me set that aside for a second. And let's take a look at this. I'm going to take my die off, and we have a little gizmo brush that comes with 2 foam pads, and I put my little foam pad in one of our little skinny cases so that it would catch the debris. So I'm just going to flip that over for right now. This little brush goes on the end where the sticky is for our take your pick tool. So I'm going to put that in. And you use this when you have little intricate parts that you want to come out. Well, I laughed at myself because I kept looking at it and going over and over it. And then I realized, I don't know if you can see it, but they're little leaves that are not cut all the way. They're supposed to just be there and not cut all the way through. See that one I kind of lifted up? So anyway, I got what needed to come out came out. You can also do it with a die on there. Okay. So the first thing I need to do is to take my bone folder, fold my card. I did it portrait instead of landscape. And give that a good crease there. Then I want to make sure I don't want to glue this down yet because I want to put the ribbon behind it. If you don't do that, it shows when you open the card. So I'm going to take my stamp and seal. That's why I made this just a little bit longer. And I'm just using the card to kind of eyeball where I want it to be. So that's going to go like that. Okay, the next thing, I'm going to just place this aside. And the next thing we're going to do is to do our flower and our leaves. Now this one I used the Memento Tuxedo black that we carry, and on the card here I used the Gorgeous Grape and the green, the meadow green. Can't think today. So anyway, I think that having the black outline makes it pop out a little bit more, so that's what we're going to do. And I'm going to do it right here. Now, remember that our Memento, we do not make this, so anytime you open the lid and the pad's there, when you go to store it upside down. But this works with blends, and so I would remember, and my customers would know, I put a little sticky tape on there. So I'm going to ink up my flower. And my leaf is on the same block. Oops. I'm going to do my leaf right there. Okay. Remember, you can turn our paper over if you make a mistake. Again, I'm going to have to do them one at a time. I was going to do them together, but since that first one didn't come out, that's okay. And you can color these as long as you make sure to use tape, because if you don't, it could wiggle and ruin your color thing. So we're going to cut them out first this time. And so here is my leaf. I'm going to put my leaf back on the magnetic page I have there. Okay, then we're going to cut out this flower. Now there, like I mentioned, there's several flowers here, so you have to find the one that goes with it. And what I do is just kind of keep rotating this until you find the exact spot where it needs to be cut. And you can see that right there. Sometimes I'll put a dot on my photopolymer stamp and a dot like at the top here. So I would give me because some of these dies can really be a pain to get in the right place. This one's not so bad, but I want to be sure to get all of that. And look, I'm doing the one that we'd already colored. How about let's do this one? And then I'll show you again. Okay, so there we go with that. Let's run that through. Now, turn my fan on. Excuse my head. Okay, now for the coloring, I'm going to, like I said, I was going to use my blends. And I am going to go with the fat end of my Gorgeous, I'm using Highland Heather. We didn't have Gorgeous Grape in the blends. So sometimes you just have to use the next color, either above it or below it on the spectrum. Now, I'm going to go around, and I'm just doing all of this in the light, and then I'm going to come back with the dark. And see, because this ink works, it does not blend. I mean, it does not bleed is what I was going to say. We want it to blend because I'm using blender pens. Okay, I'm going to close that one up, and I'm going to get my dark one. And I'm going to go with the skinny end. And I'm just going to kind of highlight some areas, go around, just to give it a little more depth. And you can see without really blending yet that it's popping out a little bit more. And then I just kind of went on all of the little creases and around the little petals. Now you can come back with the light little end of your Highland Heather and just kind of work out those lines that were made so that they just don't jump right out. It kind of looks like it's a little darker part of the petal. Okay, so you get the idea there. And up in here. So that kind of gives you an idea of what it's going to look like. Now for the leaves, I could not find my Mossy Meadow light, so we're just going to go with the dark. And I ought to be using the smaller end. It gives you a little more control. See, it's easier if you color them before you cut it out. But like I said, if you're worried about, you know, something special that you put a whole lot of work into, you do not want that wiggling on you. Okay, I'm going to set this aside. Now let me show you about the ribbon and how you dye it. I'm going to take the dark of my Highland Heather, and I'm just going to cut off a little piece of this because, as we say, due to TV land or whatever, I already have this piece done. It does dry fairly quickly, but just for showing you, I wanted to make sure. And I'm just going to start at one end and just color all over. You don't have to do the other side, it goes through, and then it will excuse me just a moment. Okay, he knows I do that every Thursday. Okay, see how it bled through on my silicone mat? So you want to be careful where you're doing this. That'll wipe right off, and I'm going to just let that dry. Now, before I put my card front on my base, I want to go ahead and wrap my ribbon around. What I wanted to do was to have the ribbon right over the bow on the left side, so I'm leaving more to wrap around. And I'm also going to put a little bit of tape there just to kind of guide me a little bit better. Let's see if I got it in the right spot. Nope. Let me come up a little higher. Okay, so it's right about there. Now remember, I'm left-handed, so I always have to turn my cards around, or my little legs on my bow go the wrong way. So I am making my loop, make my loop, over, under, then make one of your little bunny ears, wrap it around, and there you have it. Now this is not tight enough, so let me do that again. And you know what else I'm going to do? I'm going to put just a little tack of tape right there, and that will help it. Let's see. Oh my, it's going to be one of those days. Okay, I think I got it this time. There we go. Just need to pull it tight. Then you can adjust your ribbon so that it's on the side. I'm just pinching it around, and you've got your little legs going the correct way. Now I'm going to put this on the front of my card base. When you get up in here, you're going to have to be careful so that it doesn't, I'm just going to, you could use liquid glue, but in this case I'm just running my seal over the solid places. And then I'm going to adhere this to the front. Okay, so that part of the card's done. And look what I did. Oh yay. With the seal, if you're in a hurry, you can usually pick it up. I always check that. Okay, now let's try this again. Okay, that was fixed. And if you need to, you can go back and put just a little liquid glue behind there. The next thing we're going to do is, here's my flower and my leaves that I'm going to put on in just a second. I wanted to show you how to do the happy birthday. Years ago, Stampin' Up! Came out with all different colors embossing powder. Now we have, I think, clear white, gold, and silver. And I wanted to show you how you can make your sentiments or whatever you're working on the color that you would like it to be instead of being in black. I'm going to take, here is my happy birthday. Here's my little strip of paper. It's about 1 inch by 1 by 3, I think. 1 by 3.5. Versamark. It is a wonderful product. We do not make this either. And as you could see when I took the top off, that it's supposed to be a off-white pad. Mine has been used a whole lot. It does not transfer. All that comes off is the clear ink. This can be used for watermark if you want to stamp something all over your page or on your cardstock, and it comes out really nicely. Now, the first thing I did was I went to the Versamark. Then I went to my colored ink pad. Now I'm going to stamp. And before this dries, I have my little pan over here and my clear embossing. And I am going to turn that fan out of the way so I don't have embossing powder everywhere. Okay, so it is totally covered, and I'm going to go ahead and emboss this. Here is my heat gun, and you want to be sure to move your powder out of the way or it'll go everywhere. So I am going to show you, I'm just going to wave this over, and you can see it changing because what this is doing is melting the embossing powder. Okay. Now, a good way to make sure that you got it all is to hold it up to the light, and if all of it is shiny, you know that you got the whole thing and that it doesn't need any more melting. So I'm going to put this out of the way. We've got one last thing to cut out, and that's this. So let me get this over here. And remember I said that this little tag die came from the sending, and it works perfectly with this. And it looks like it's going to cut off, but it just barely fits in. Okay. Let's run that through. And next we're going to put it all together. I'm going to use dimensionals on the back of the rose. And on the leaves. And I'm going to do the mini dimensionals on our happy birthday. And look how nice that turned out. So that little, die worked great for this. I'm going to put 3 of these on there. Then we're going to put our card together. Okay. I wanted the rose to be right up by the bow. So I'm going to put it here. The leaf is going to go next to it. I kind of put it up under a little bit. There we go. And then I wanted the sentiment, happy birthday. Like I said, this you could have put thanks or anything you want on this. I tend to do more birthday cards than anything else. And then just put it wherever you want to put that. Okay, so that completes that part of the, and on the inside, what I did, and I'm going to show you what it looks like on the inside. I took a piece of white that is 4 by 5 1/4, some scraps that I had left over that I split in two. Those are 3/4 inches, and look how gorgeous that makes that card. Then I stamped wishing you all the happiness you can imagine. For the, let's see, I had already stamped the 2 little bundles of flowers with the word friend there. And if you use blends, let me find a piece that I can stick in there. If you use blends, you need to remember to put a piece of scrap paper down inside wherever you're going to color, because it will bleed through. And I'm just going to show you this right quick. I'm going to use my light ones. And I did do this in the purple. I probably should have done it in the black. But just to give you the idea of what it was. And it's always nice to have an envelope that has something on it, you know, the saying, no naked envelopes. And here we go. Then I'm just going to take that green, go over the leaves gently, and just give them a bit of color there. Okay, now, so that I can show you what I was talking about. See how it bled through just a little bit right there? So that way it doesn't come through on your envelope. Now, the last thing was our Wink of Stella. This is a clear brush. It has glitter in it. And this is the coolest thing. It's hard to see on camera, but all I'm going to do is just go over the rose a little bit and put that on, and it sparkles a little bit. And last but not least, we have our little dots here that I'm going to use. Oops. Now take your pick tool is on the floor somewhere. So I'm going to just put one here. Put 3 on one of the flowers. Maybe that one. And maybe put one more purple. Just put a little one. Up here. Okay. So there is our finished card with your dots, your Wink of Stella on there, the embossing in purple with the clear powder. And I will have all of these directions on my website, and you'll be able to access it there. And the way I store these is to turn the flap back and put my card in here. Now, if I had had it cut the other way, part of it would hang over and part of it would go in. So I hope that makes sense to you. But anyway, that's how I store it, because if I don't, I forget that I have the envelopes. So I hope you have enjoyed today's edition of Lunch with Laura. I am trying to stay more on time. Last week when I did the catalog, I ran over. So here you can see my cards and the inside. Oops, no you can't. There you can. So, hope you've enjoyed it. See you next week. Have a great weekend. Love you and come back. Mwah.